I want to talk about the algorithm, which is a thrilling way to start a video about books. I know, everybody relax, there's going to be no graphs, no TED Talk voice, we all know the memes, but I think this is a thing we keep circling around without actually naming it. A lot of us don't read books anymore. We read around books. We read the conversation. We read the reaction. We read the vibes. And then, eventually, if you have time, you actually read the book. And I don't think that's because we've become shallow or distant or stupid. I think it's because the algorithm has quietly trained us to behave that way. My name is Darv James. This is the Bald Book Geek. I'm somewhat caffeinated right now. Good morning, good evening, good night. I don't know where you are. And if you want to support this channel, a comment, a like, a subscribe is always nice. But also there's Patreon, Substack, and Ko-fi, as well as channel memberships. So let's just get into the juicy bit, because that's why you're here. Here's the simplest version. Algorithms don't exist to show you good things. They exist to show you more of what keeps you there. Not what challenges you, not what broadens your tastes, not what you didn't know you needed, just what made you stop scrolling for half a second longer. So if you watch a BookTok video, for example, about a specific book, you don't just get another book video. You get the same book, the same opinion, the same tone, the same genre, the same writer, over and over until it's deafening. And it's not because it's the best book, not because it's important, but because it works. And slowly, repetition turns into familiarity, and familiarity turns into urgency. This is where it gets weird. At first, it feels helpful. So everybody's reading this. People seem excited, I'll add it to my list, but that list doesn't stay neutral for long. Eventually, the list becomes a queue, and the queue becomes a deadline. You start to feel left behind, out of sync, late. Not because you want the book, but because everyone else already has it. That's FOMO reading and FOMO marketing. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's not so subtle, but it tells you this. You must read this book. You just start to feel like, well, this is what reading is now. And it's not. Here's the part that always gets under my skin, and I see this way too much. By the time most books reach us, they're already carrying a verdict. You know, whether it's overhyped, whether it's disappointing, whether liking it makes you look basic, enlightened, or problematic. So when you finally open the book, you're not open, you're braced. You're reading to confirm, to argue, to disagree, to have a take ready. That's not curiosity, that's defense. And I've done this way too many times. I've caught myself halfway through a book thinking, oh, this must be the bit people hated, which is a deeply unserious way to engage with art. This is where de-influencing shows up, and again, I understand the impulse. Stop buying everything, stop falling for hype, read less, read better. Fine, fair, whatever. But a lot of de-influencing content is just influencing content that lives in the algorithm. It's still reactive, it's still urgent, still centered on the same books and the same topics, just with a different tone. Instead of you need this, it becomes you definitely don't need this. Same loop, same center, same pressure. The system doesn't care why you're engaging, only that you are engaging. Now let's go into a little bit more of it. Let's go deeper, because I seem to be on a roll today and I want to keep this energy going. When the algorithm shapes your reading, it also shapes your perception. You stop tolerating confusion, slowness, ambiguity. You want the point, you want the takeaway, the verdict, and I see it in my comments, I see it in other people's comments. But books don't work like that. Not the good ones, not the ones that stay with you. They need time, they need silence, they need you not knowing what to think for a while, and algorithms hate that. Because uncertainty doesn't keep you scrolling. Now, I'm going to be very clear. This isn't about quitting bookish social media. Clearly, I'm still here, for what it's worth. I'm pretty sure there's a percentage of you on the internet that wish I wasn't. It's about creating a fracture. Doing things the system doesn't optimize. Going to the library, picking up a book no one talks about, reading the synopsis instead of the discourse on Goodreads. By the way, don't bother with Goodreads, it's a hell site. Letting a book be boring or confusing or just fine. Not everything needs to be life changing, not everything needs a take or some tappy taps as you talk about it on the camera. Sometimes a book just needs to exist quietly in your life. A different way to think about de-influencing. Let's go into this. If de-influencing means anything useful, it's not about replacing one list with another. It's about withdrawing urgency. Reading without speed, without performance, without an invisible audience. Not asking what does this say about me, but what does this do to me? That's a harder question and a better one. Algorithms aren't evil. They're efficient, but efficient in the most terrible way when it comes to consuming any product, book, or whatever. So you feel disconnected from books lately. So if you're feeling that, it's probably not because you don't love reading anymore, but it's because too many other voices are in the room. Turn them off. Books don't need to be louder, they just need more space. And like I said at the beginning, if you really like this content, please feel free to support this channel. We do early access and some exclusives and a bit of an announcement for members and Patreon and all of that. We're going to be doing a series called Intro, which are short intro, well, I say short, 5-minute videos, which are a intro to a subject, a book, a writer, whatever. And you can also check out my second channel, The Board Archive. That'll probably be in my community posts. Anyway, I will catch you guys soon, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.